Good morning. Sorry about the abrupt ending of the last video, but I only have 15 minutes on these things and it just stops. But at any rate, you can see that this piece turned out, I think, pretty nice. Okay, I'm going to probably put a couple of standoffs on here and some through screws, and that'll fit on there just like that. And we'll be able to rotate it on our stand when it's done. So now we need to do this piece here. I've measured it out using my caliper over here, that it should be around about 50 millimeters high, around about 50 millimeters wide. The only thing that really matters is where I'm going to put the holes in the feet, because I do want it to fit on my robot. Okay, and the distance between these holes, or actually any of these holes, or the holes on the motherboard, is about 40.8 millimeters. So we want to have this distance here and here to have holes with 40.8. This is 3 millimeters wide. Okay, so if I make the slot 3 millimeters wide, if I make the slot sort of short and 3 millimeters wide, well, remember the plastic itself is not infinitely thin, so it's actually going to bleed into it a little bit. There's the diameter on it. So I should probably make that like 3.2, 3.4 millimeters wide. Or I'm going to make it 3 millimeters wide and a little tall so that it can spread out just a little bit and it'll slide in and it'll give us a nice frictional fit. But I got to be careful. Sometimes the ABS can split. So let's get going on it. So like I said, I'm going to make my piece basically 50 by 50, and I almost always start with a box. Okay, and 50 comma 50. Okay, there we go. Zoom into extents. Let's get it rotated in position like this, and I'll watch my time carefully. We're at 2 minutes already, and like I said, I like to start off by reversing the face. I want to see white. Should always see a light color. And once again, just like I did before, I'm going to draw myself some reference lines from midpoint to midpoint. I put a bunch of them in here actually, because we're going to have some serious grid work to do. Midpoint. You know what? I'll pause it and draw. Alright, so I've drawn lots and lots of reference lines here. I'm sure there's a better way to do it. It's just the way I do it. I kind of like it this way. So the first thing we need to do is put some reference points down for our holes, which are 40.8. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to here. 40.8 divided by 2 is 20.4. So I'm going to put a box down here, and I'm going to make it, let's see, I probably want the legs to be about 3 millimeters thick. So I'm going to say 20.8 comma 3. Nice, okay. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll make it 20.4. Boy, I'm screwing this up. Sometimes I worry about myself. Well, let me correct that. .4, 20.4 comma 3. All right, and let's get rid of this. This is a serious waste of time. Four comma 3. Okay, so that means that we're ultimately going to put our through holes here. Okay, so now it's time to think about the slit at the top. I think I'm going to make it, I don't know, let's make it about, I want it to be relatively tall and deep. And this is a beautiful thing about 3D printing, of course, is I can always just do it again. So let's make it 10, and I'm going to make it I'm going to make this box then a little bit lighter. So 1.3, half of that is 1.5. Let's make it 1.6 by 10. 10, comma, 1.6. That gives us a little extra width. And then we're going to come up here, and we're going to make this 10, comma, 1.6. All right, so now that's going to be our slot. I'm going to draw a couple more reference lines down here, midpoint to midpoint. I'm going to make this guy stand up a little bit. Now, I want to make some kind of arc. I need some kind of foot. I don't want this whole base. I want this cut out in the middle. So if that's my centerpiece, I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go from midpoint here to midpoint here, midpoint here to midpoint there, and let's see, I'm actually going to go from here straight across. I know this looks mystical, but when I start deleting stuff, it'll all make sense. In fact, I want to just delete that line there so you'll be able to sort of see what's starting to happen. Okay, this is going to be the foot that I pull out. And now what I want to do is I want to make some kind of a curve. I'm thinking maybe from here to here. Let's see how that works out. Oh, I like that. From here to here. Tell you what, let's start deleting a few things, so you start seeing what I'm drawing maybe a little clearer. I'm going to pause it and delete more. Okay, so now I've deleted all this extraneous stuff up here, so I think you're starting to see the shape come into play. And now what we need to do is we need to put an arc underneath it to be able to support it. And my gut feeling tells me, and I've done this a few times, that I'm actually probably going to want it to be, I'm going to put another midline, okay, and now I'm going to go from here to there, and from here to there. And actually, let me do that again. I'm going to make sure I actually got it symmetrical. Tangent to edge, that's what I want. And I want to go from here there we go. That's what I was looking for. And now let me start deleting some junk. Okay, I'm going to get rid of all this junk in the middle. All this junk. Tell you what, I'll pause it again so you don't have to watch me just delete stuff, but you got the idea so far. Alright, finishing off the deletions. And now you can see our outline, I think. And remember, these two lines here are the whole lines that are going to line up with the holes that we need to put, or I need to put into the bottom. So I've got my nice arc. I could have made this a deeper arc. You guys can design your own piece. This is just what works for me for the moment. And the next thing to do is actually, well, we can actually get rid of all these bits, right? We can start actually cutting it out. Get rid of all that stuff. Get rid of that. Okay, so we gotta definitely have to clean up this little bit right here. I'm not shooting for perfection here. I just want something that's cosmetically okay and functional. All right, super. So the next thing is we need to then pull it up. Now, I want some depth to this thing. I don't want it to be super paper thin. Remember, I'm going to stick a screw ultimately through, all the way through this. Right through there. So I need something that's kind of thick. And if you use your caliper, we know that let me switch over to the camera. So we made this piece 15, okay? 15 millimeters. So if it was a perfect matchup straight up, it would be 15 millimeters thick. So we'd have to raise this up 15. I don't know if it needs to be quite that thick. It takes a long time to print, and it's probably not really going to gain us anything. I'm going to make it about 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. So let me come back to this. And let's spin this a little bit so we can kind of see what we got working with. And I'm going to raise all this up 10 millimeters. And then I've got these feet. I'm going to raise them up. I want to go up 10 to there, plus I want them to stick out so I can put a hole through it. Let's make it stick out another, oh, let's stick it out another 10, so we'll make it 20. Actually, I could just double click. All right, excellent. So now you can see we've got our piece starting to really shape up. And we're going to go put a hole through here. So let me do a couple little cleanups because I'm going to run out of time, and I'll show you the holes. Okay, I'm going to put one hole through this foot, and then I'll just do the other one while it's paused. But I'm going to do the same thing I usually do. I just like having my reference points. I don't have a drawing that I'm following, no CAD diagram. I'm doing this all by just sight. But I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and I'm going to put a hole that is 2 millimeters in radius right there. And then I'm going to get rid of all this junk. Like that. Okay. And I should spin it around. Get rid of the junk on the other side. For the moment, at least. Spin it back around. And push it through. And it was 3 millimeters. There you go, you got a foot. I'm going to actually chamfer this edges too. So what I'm going to do is like I did in my last video. I'm going to put a line in here as usual. I'm going to go from there to there because I want to put a chamfer that goes from the midpoint to the tangent, midpoint to the tangent. And then recall, I have to do that to the other side. We're going to run out of time again. Dang it. Midpoint. Oh, get down there. I'm going to go all the way. No, right there. And then we go from midpoint to tangent, midpoint to tangent. Oops. Tangent. Zoom in a little bit here. Let's draw a line from the end point to the end point, and I need to do that up here, and I'm going to go from end point to end point, and that actually looks funny, but let's see what happens. Hopefully it works. And I'm going to push this through. Oh, I knew I didn't do that right. Give me a moment. Okay, my mouse moved at the very last second. End point to end point. Now I'm certain. Push it through. Okay, and now I'm going to pause it and do the other side. Okay, I've gotten rid of almost all the points. I left this one here because I want you to see what happens. Sometimes this bizarreness happens and it just disappears. It's usually easy to correct. Just make sure you get on the right places, you know, on the surface of the same lines. Draw a new one, and lo and behold, you're back to where you want to be. So now what I'm going to do is, I've only got 30 seconds. I'm going to put a hole through this side, so I'm going to get it all lined up, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've got it all lined up. I've only got 20 seconds left. I've drawn my reference points like I always do. I'm going to put it here, and I want a circle 2 millimeters deep. Okay, and then I'm going to delete all the stuff and push it through. I'll see you in a second. Okay, I need to know how deep this is. It's 2.3. Take this, give it a push, 2.